So how we doing, guys? This is Mod Central USA, and I am back with another tutorial video for you guys. So it's been a while since we've done any PlayStation 4 remapping videos, and while the process hasn't changed and you can pretty much use any of my older videos even with the newest controllers, I still wanted to do a new video just to kind of keep people up to date, show off all the new stuff in one video, and give you guys an idea on how easy it is to do remaps on a PlayStation 4 DualShock 4 controller. So the first thing I want to do is I want you guys to be able to figure out what controller you have. So on the back of your controller, you're going to see these stickers. These are the stickers that are on the back of your DualShock 4 controller. And I'm not sure if you can see them in the video. I'm going to do my best. There we go. You could see where it says ZCT2U, and the bottom sticker says ZCT1U. All you need to pay attention for on the back of your controller and the model number is the 1U and the 2U. That's all you need to pay attention to. The 1U is the original model controller, and that can be anything from a JDM 001 all the way up to a JDM 030. And the 2U controllers are the new JDM 040 controllers. Those numbers are on the motherboards inside the controller. It's been pretty confusing to people, especially people that aren't familiar with electronics, on how to identify these numbers. So I figured the easiest way was to show you guys the back of the controller, the model number, and figure out which one's which. So if your controller has the 1U, and actually U stands for US. If you're in Japan or in Europe, it'll be 1J or 1E. So it'll say 1U, 1E, or 1J. If you have the 2U controller, it'll say 2U, 2E, or 2J. Those are the different model numbers for the different parts of the world. So anyway, let's go back to the 1U, 1E, 1J controllers. This is the board that you're going to want to use. That board right there. That board right there is the board for any controller that has the 1 in the model number. 1U, 1E, or 1J. If your controller has 2U, 2E, or 2J in the model number, you're going to want the new board. It'll look like that. And that is pretty much the easiest way to figure out which board you need. So for today, we're going to be working with the new 2U controller, or the new JDM 040, which you'll see when I open it up in a moment. It's pretty simple. Like any of the other PlayStation controllers in the past, it's basically 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, and last but not least, 4. So that is pretty much it for taking the back of the controller off. So now what I like to do is I like to get the separation right there and slowly peel it apart. Do it from the bottom, nice and slow, until you got the whole thing, and then it just separates. Very carefully separate it. You do not want to break. This is the new light bar sensor for the front that makes the front of the light bar light up. Unplug your cable, and that's it. The controller is done. The first thing I like to do is pull out the battery, And I also like pulling out the battery holder. And if you plan on using the battery holder, first thing you're going to want to do is just cut it in half. You only need the top half. Bottom half you don't need. Throw it away. And that's that. Okay. So next, there's two ways you can do this. I'm going to show you guys the easiest way. And, okay, so the first thing is to put in the remap board. Now this is just the standard hard remap board. I do have the programmable version as well if you want to program your remaps. The programmable version looks almost like the hard remap, except it has the LED light sensor on it so that you know when your remaps have changed. Pretty simple. Okay, so next thing you're going to want to do is remove the wire from the touch pad in the front. I like to use just a pair of needle nose pliers because my fingers have a hard time grabbing it. Just pull it out. That easy. And then, like every other controller, it's just one screw. Take the screw out. And there are clips just like the version 3.0s on the last revision. These two clips. Oh, there you go. Now, just want to show you guys something. For those of you that accidentally bought the original board for this one, you will see that the original board, it does not fit. The holes don't line up correctly. So even though it looks like it might fit, it doesn't. There are more connectors on the new board than on the old board. That's why a new remap was needed for this controller revision. So, easy enough. So what I like to do now is I like to take a piece of tape, put a piece of tape on the back of the controller, right here. Bam, right there. Doesn't have to be huge. There you go. I'm not covering the holes with the tape. So that basically now I line up the remap board here and there. Line it up. Line it up. And that's that. It is lined up and ready to go. Then you're just going to take your board and you're going to place it back in. There you go. Like that. And you're going to put your screw back in to hold the remap board in place. And also secure your motherboard. That's that. And you can just peel your tape. Easy enough. Fold your board over. There is a hole cut out so that it doesn't sit over that resistor there. Easy enough. And also, at this point, you could put your touchpad ribbon cable back in. Now, I like to use double-sided tape. I just found some really thin stuff at Hobby Lobby or whatever craft store. Cut it into little squares. So I don't know if you can even see it. Little tiny piece of double-sided tape, and I put it on there like that, and I fold it over like that and secure it in place. It's on and easy. There you go. It is that simple. Simple and secured. Next thing you're going to want to do is tin up what you're going to solder. For this controller, I'm only doing the O button and the X button, and you really only need one ground if you're going to cascade them, but I'm going to use 2 grounds, one for each button, just so that you guys get the idea, but 1 ground will suffice. There is 5 of them there. You can do as many as you want, but I'm only doing 2. So, okay. Next is installing your holes. I've actually got a piece of wire here. Really only need the wire about that far. I've only got enough wire for 1 button right now. I will grab more wire in a moment. Might as well get the wire out of the way, right? Alright, so the O is going to be right there. And I'm going to also put on the ground. There you go. And then put the next wire. I'm going to use some blue. Okay. Easy enough. Ground. And X button. Easy enough. Okay. So, pull these 2 over this way. A little bit of glue, kind of just hold them in place. Okay, some glue there. And for this side, there we go. Excuse my timer, but that's reminding me I got to do something, so I'm going to pause right here and I will be right back. Alright, so at this point we have our wires in on both sides. We'll just kind of put that to the side for the moment. And then next we want to put in our tack buttons for our remaps. I personally like to put them in at the very corners of where the label were. So like I said, I like to put them at the corners of where the outline of the label are, here and here. But the first thing I like to do is to remove some excess plastic on the inside. So here. I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, plastic is getting removed. Okay, and then next I like to take my razor and just kind of get in there and just flatten it all out. Just shave it, make it even. Okay, do it with the other side. Anything that you couldn't pull out with your pliers, or if you're using a Dremel. And easy enough. Okay, now, like I said, drill 2 holes right in the corner. There's one. Here's 2. And just to make sure, just kind of easy enough. And then just kind of get your razor and just kind of go around the hole. And done. Okay, easy enough. Now, careful of your ribbon cable. You don't want to cut it or rip it or burn it. So I just kind of get it out of the way a little bit. Next, you want to add your tack buttons and just glue them in. You don't have to take this step if you don't want to. You could just use hot glue. But once I get my tacks in there, I like to use a little bit of crazy glue. Takes an extra couple of seconds. Got to be careful when using crazy glue, because if you get it underneath the button or you get it on the button, it's going to basically lock your button in place. You're going to have to pull it out and stick a new button in. So just be very careful when using crazy glue. You don't have to wait for it to dry 100%, but And then glue it in. Okay, that one's in. Just be careful when using crazy glue and hot glue together. The heat from the hot glue can react with the crazy glue and can tear up your eyes. Easy enough. Let that dry for a moment. And that's that. Just gonna let that dry. I'm gonna pause it here. I'll be right back. At this point, we should be pretty dry. I'm going to tin up posts for the wires. Now, if you're only doing one ground and you're going to cascade your ground, if you're going to do your ground, say, on the bottom post of either tact, then remember that the posts go through the tact switches from one side to the other, and you're going to want to cascade the other side of the bottom post to the bottom post of that side. That way you only need to solder one ground wire there. But I'm going to actually solder a ground wire to each side. So basically, the way that I set this up was I did red wires for the O button and blue wires for the X button. And I'm just going to solder them like that, one to each post, top and bottom. But like I said, if you only have one ground wire, you can ground to the bottom and then go through from one side to the other. But we're not going to do that. Check my other videos. Other videos does have cascading shown. So I'm going to do that. And then next, I'm going to put in my paddles. Now, I have laser cut aluminum paddles that I've shown off in other videos. These are unbreakable, and honestly, I like them a lot, and I think a lot of other people do as well. I think I have close to about 700 pairs sold already, so that's just on eBay. I've also had controllers that I built for people, kits, things of that nature. I've cut well over 2,000 individual paddles or over 1,000 pairs of these already. They're just standard aluminum. They are countersunk, and I've actually started wrapping them with plastic, rubber plastic. Well, rubber, not really plastic. It's more rubber, but once it hardens, it feels like plastic. So that you don't have that hard metal feel on your finger. Although these are super smooth, they are aluminum, and like I said, they are laser cut, so there should be no issues with them using them bare. Hundreds of bare pairs have gone out and never a complaint. So, like I said, you can do it either way. So now, just to make sure that your glue is dry, hold on to the tacks, and then, click them from the other side, make sure they work. Okay. Next, we're going to install the paddles real quick. Paddles are pretty easy to install. I like actually using the reset hole button. You can always take the one screw out of the paddle if you ever need to hard reset it. But I like to line it up with that. And then just drill one other hole. There you go. That's easy. And then for the other side, you could see that the round portion just barely hugs the button, the screw hole for the controller. So do be careful when you're like this. Again, you don't want to break your light bar diffuser up here. So just be very careful, but line it up. There you go. And whoops. There you go. And then bam, done. This is just a tap to make your screws screw in easier. If you purchase a kit, I include drill bit and tap for the screws that I include. Easy enough. Done. Put everything away so I don't lose anything. And then screws. Okay, you put your screw in. I like doing the top one first. Always mess up whenever I'm in camera. There we go. Okay, that's that one. Next is the bottom one. And that's that. If your paddles aren't clicking, then you can either loosen them up, or what I like to do is I like to hold the two screws here and just kind of pull up on the paddle a little bit until I get a click. They are pliable, but you don't want to pull up without holding on the screws. You could rip the screws right out of the plastic. Remember, you are screwing into plastic. but should be pretty easy. Do the next one. It's already pushing down on it, so I'm just going to pull back a little bit. No, not enough. There you go. Feel there's too much play, just tighten it up a little bit. There you go. Easy enough. Clickety click. Okay, now, just so that you guys know, when you put the controller back together, this is towards the motherboard, this is away from the motherboard. You see this blue strip on this wire? This blue strip needs to be facing in towards the motherboard. On all the old controllers, the blue strip used to face out. But on this one, it needs to face in. If you put it in the wrong way, the controller will not turn on. So, well, anyway, let's solder the wires first. Oops. Okay. Wire, you don't want to burn it. And it really doesn't matter which one goes on which, because okay, so just to test, kind of yank on them a little bit. Okay, well done. There you go. Next, you can put your cut battery holder back in. If you even want to use it at all, you don't have to. And put your battery back in. There you go. And then, last but not least, once you've got everything back in, you can put your wire back in. And then, once your wire is back in, you are pretty much done. If you hit the little button down here, you can see it lights up, so you know you're good. Your diffuser goes in this little area that's between the motherboard and the touchpad. So, and you don't have to worry about your triggers anymore because they're completely open. So you could just kind of stick that in there like that. And what I like to do is just make sure that my wires aren't in the way of getting closed when I close the controller. So I just kind of push them out of the way a little bit, but they're already good. So really, boom, my controller is closed, easy enough. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to put in my screws to keep the controller from opening again. And we can do that very easily. I always like to do the top screws first. It makes it easier with the battery. Plus, you should hear your triggers click, which is a good thing because that means that they're going to work correctly and they're not caught up on something. And then you can just do your bottom screws. Your bottom screws go in pretty easily. There you go. Bottom screws in. There you go. Okay, and that should be it. You should have 2 clickies in the back on your paddles. Click, 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 click. My O should be on the right. My X should be on the left. You can always plug it into a computer and try it out, or whatever you need to do. And that should be it. If you have any questions, thanks for watching. The new boards are up on eBay and Amazon if you want to grab them. You can also buy directly from me, and they are discounted when you buy them direct. Again, I have the hard map, I have the programmable remaps, I have anything that you guys need. Just drop me an email, all the information's in the description, and thanks for watching.